Welcome back to Rhinestones and Rants, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the dance world and tell you what nobody else will. My name is Alyssa Better, your host, and today we are tackling a big question every parent wants to know. What is the end game? If you're majoring in dance, whether it's a BA or BFA, conservatory, or just chasing that career in dance, the question is, what are you actually going to do with it? Because let's face it, we have all heard it. Oh, you're majoring in dance? Cue the raised eyebrows, the awkward silence, and so what is the backup plan? But today, we are breaking that narrative wide open. We are talking about the incredible, diverse, and sometimes surprising career paths you can take as a dancer. From being a rockette to dancing backup for Beyoncé, choreographing for a TV show, working on a convention circuit, or even running your own business. We are going to talk about the perception problem dance degrees face and whether it can actually be lucrative. Ka-ching! This episode is called You've Done the Dance, Now What's the Next Play? So sit back, relax, smash that like button, subscribe, share the love, and let's sashay into it. Welcome to Rhinestones and Rants, where the glitz of the dance world meets the real talk of industry and a dance mom who lived it every day. This podcast isn't just about perfect pirouettes and dazzling costumes. It's about the raw, unfiltered journey of raising dancers, navigating the competitive scene, and balancing the chaos of life beyond the studio. So grab your coffee or wine, adjust that messy bun, and join me and special guests for a little bit of rhinestone-covered realness. Click that like button below, subscribe, and let's get into it. So welcome back to the studio,
Thank
Vicky.
you.
Double trouble. You're the double to my trouble.
Happy to be back.
And we are back at it. So important episode, because I think you and I have spoken about this
So many times.
So many times. We've been cornered since our kids are yay little.
Yeah.
All the way till now. And so why do you think we're doing this episode? Like,
Because we're tired of being asked this question over and over and over, and then kind of just not really being looked down at, but being looked at like, well, what are you doing? Why are you investing all this time, all this money? Like, what's the end game?
right. And like, I remember you telling me a story when Anya was like really little, right?
Yeah.
And somebody like tell the story because you
Okay.
tell it the best.
Well, it was when we were at Fierce, and Anya was dancing, I think for like, it was a couple of years then. And, she was really good and she was, doing really well. So we started investing like more and more money into it. And I remember a friend of ours, a mutual friend, came up to me as we were standing behind the glass, watching them dance and going, why are you really doing this? Like, why are you having, 2 privates a week? Why does she have 2 solos? Why is she in 10 groups? And I was kind of like, well, I don't really know. She just likes it. It's fun. It's what she does. And it was kind of like, she asked me, what's the end game? And I was like, I have no idea. I really don't know. But that story just kind of stuck with me. And over the years, I thought about it many times until we finally now have kind of answers. So
yeah, and it's interesting because what the end game was when they were little, right? Like I'm talking about like anywhere from 5 to like 13 even.
Yeah.
The end game looked very different than what it looks now. And I just went through a very similar experience because, we moved Joelle into college a year ago. And after we moved her in, we went out for the obligatory, dinner.
celebration dinner.
Celebration dinner with the other roommates' parents. And we're all getting to know each other. And I think one of her roommates was majoring in communications.
Like something super serious.
Like, well, I don't even know if communications is so serious.
Okay.
But like they weren't majoring in
But
dance.
academics.
Academic, way more academics. And then there was Joelle, majoring, BFA of dance. And
Which is fantastic.
and the parents were great. And we're at this dinner and the dad comes over and he's like, I got to ask you a question. And I'm like, okay. And
Oh, no.
mind you, I don't really know him that well, right? And he's like, so this like BFA thing in dance that Joelle's doing, like, can I ask, and I don't mean to be rude, but like, what is she going to do with it? And it was like, oh, seriously, like he's asking again. Like, I mean, we've been asked this question so many times because we are investing a lot of money and we do spend a ton of time doing this.
It's our whole lives.
It's been our whole life. And now you're going to college. Now, granted, they were out of state. So I think that they were paying like a lot more money than we were paying for her to go to school. But still, we are paying a lot of money for her to do this BFA in dance. And, sort of like, why? Like, what's next? And that answer is very different today, like I said before.
than it was 10 years ago.
100%. So I think it's probably best if we start with the defining like the BA versus the BA. So just so everybody is
BFA.
clear, BFA, thank you. So BA, Bachelor of Arts, is a lot more academic. A lot of kids, if you're going to college, they get a BA, whether it's in liberal arts or whether it is in medicine or philosophy or
Whatever.
sociology, whatever. Like it's you're getting a BA. And you can have a concentration in that BA. You could even get a BA and get a minor in dance.
Yeah.
But when you're going for a BFA, which is a Bachelor of Fine Arts, it is much more focused around the arts. Like it's focused on, like in Joelle's case, it's focused on dance. So she's going to be spending a lot more time getting graded and a lot more time in the classroom dancing.
That's the focus.
Her grade is focused on that. And she's doing something that's obviously her passion, which can open up a lot of doors to her, which we're going to get into in this episode. But I want to make sure that anybody who's listening really does understand the differences, because not everybody does. Like they think, oh, a BFA, like, you know, you're going to be on Broadway. Well, there is BFAs for musical theater and, you know, lots of other paths you can take with a BFA.
Anything in the arts.
100%. So, you know, let's talk about what are some of these different pathways that, you know, we can explore once you are, you know, going and you getting your BFA or you're majoring in dance. Let's start breaking those down, because I think that would probably be the best way for us to start.
Another thing I know we talked about was the conservatory path.
Yes.
Like some kids who don't want to go straight away to college or university, path is going to a conservatory. There's one that we talked about a lot. It's called Klee Conservatory. It's on the East Coast. Teddy Forens runs it.
Teddy's the best. And
he's amazing.
And he put this together and it's taken off. I mean, completely.
It's packed now, and it's an opportunity for kids after high school who maybe aren't sure exactly what they want to do. It's a 10-month program. They go there and they dance. Every genre, every style, all these amazing choreographers, teachers come there, teach them. And they also give them opportunities like auditioning. They just recently had an audition for a cruise line. So they bring all these opportunities to them. They audition and they get jobs. So I think it's a great opportunity for kids who maybe don't know exactly what they want to do, but they know they want to dance, to go to a conservatory program. And Klee's a great one.
And and I think that's a good point that you bring up, because not every kid straight out of high school, not every artistic genius is necessarily the academic kid. Like when they graduate high school, they're kind of done. Like they're like, okay, I really want to hone in on my craft right now. And CLI is a great example of an opportunity for you to just go spend all these hours working. And he has lots of things in his program too, where we're going to be doing, just so everybody's aware, we're going to be doing an 8-part college series. And we'll be rolling that out in August, just in time for those of you that are going to be applying to schools. But a conservatory is definitely another path. You have to audition for it.
And I'm sure there's other ones. That's just one that I know of. But I think it's a great opportunity.
He also he gives you opportunities to get representation. He gives you
an agent,
private videos, like where you can actually put that as part of your portfolio.
Absolutely.
So it's really focused on that next step. So when somebody's saying to you, what's next? This is definitely a different pathway you can go as well.
And it gives you time to figure out what is next, and during that time, you're learning, you're growing, you have all these amazing opportunities. So it's not like you're just wasting time, you're doing something.
And I think, moving on through that, conservatory, then, there's other things that you can do as far as performance opportunities.
So many.
And that's sort of being part of a company. So what are some of the companies?
I mean, there's so many. In ballet, you have all the ballet companies. Every state has a ballet company. San Francisco Ballet, Florida Ballet. There's, Kansas City Ballet. We have friends there, actually. And then if you're not in the ballet world, there's contemporary companies. There's NDT. There's Lines, Alonzo King Lines. Alvin Ailey. There's so many. There's Salt in Utah. There's so many companies right now. And you could be a trainee. You start out as a trainee usually, and then you work your way up to be a company member. It's
where you make good money and you travel the world, and it's an unbelievable,
beautiful life
opportunity. I mean, that's
You're
what
young.
A lot of, specifically ballet dancers, that's what they train for their whole life, to get that opportunity to be part of a specific company. Another path, which has become, so big these days. It was big back then, but now even more. Broadway, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Moulin Rouge, Hamilton. All of these shows.
All of them.
All of them have
dancers,
right? And you go see these Broadway shows, and gazillions of dancers are on there, and it is competitive to get that.
there's so many places that have a focus of that. Like we talked about, Pace has a special, it's their path, to become musical theater. A lot of kids who want to go into musical theater go to Pace because it's a direct line. So, I mean, there's just so many things you can do, and musical theater is really fun, especially if you know how to sing.
Right. In Chicago too. So
Yeah.
like, if there are, and by the way, it's a big difference between doing a Broadway path than it is, let's say, dancing backup for Beyonce.
Oh,
right.
completely
Like those are
different.
like
Completely
night
different.
and day. It doesn't mean you can't dance both, but it's definitely a different path
Yeah.
that you would actually choose.
And different skills, because a lot of the
Correct.
Broadway kids, they have to do tap, they have to sing, they act, and for to be a backup dancer, of course, it's still you're performing, but it's mostly dancing.
Right, it is. And you talked about tap. Another opportunity is the Rockettes.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, that's so fun.
And I think every little girl's dream, I know that Joelle, when she was younger, her dream was, I'm going to be a Rockette. She's 5'11" and a half, has those long legs, and she was going to be a Rockette. Unfortunately for Joelle, she hated tap. So could never get her to engage
it's
with
just
tap.
a different skill set.
Yeah, it was not her thing. So Rockettes
But it's
kind of
so
went out the window.
fun.
But it is an unbelievable opportunity. And we're going to talk about later in this episode about how much money you can make in these different lanes,
Yeah.
because there are so many. But being a Rockette, I mean, you train your whole life for that opportunity. And they, because of social media now, you get to actually see behind the scenes of them going through the audition process and what
And it's
like.
so competitive.
I mean, there was an article recently that talked about if you were a Rockette maybe 10 or 15 years ago, those Rockettes would never make it today.
I mean, it's
They would
crazy.
never, right. And so, I mean,
To have
be
that on your
tall.
have that on your resume.
and the experience.
And tell your kids about it. 20 years later, you're going to tell your kids, I was a Rockette. I did the Christmas special spectacular. I mean, I think it's just such a cool thing to
I went to the
do in your life.
Rockettes since I was 5 years old. Every single Christmas, I would go see that Christmas spectacular. It was amazing. And
and it's
actually,
beautiful. It's
the
so
dance
beautiful.
studio that we were both at, one of the owners,
Yes.
she was an actual Rockette. So that was
For
pretty
like 8
cool
years,
to hear.
right? It was for a long
She
time.
was a long time Rockette. So what was cool for me was I remember when I was going to go take Joelle to see the Rockettes, and I had said something to her. She ended up getting us tickets, and we got to go backstage. For Joelle, it was like, okay, I'm backstage.
But for
me,
you,
I mean, going
it
every
was
year of
the
my
highlight
life.
of your year.
I'm like, I'm in the back, and there's Santa's sleigh, and it was like so incredible to be able to see. And the hats, like,
It's just so cool.
so, and it is an experience, and you get to go be part of the Christmas tree lighting, which starts the Christmas season in New York, and for people all over the world, basically. But the Rockettes always do perform there, so it is like this incredible experience that you have. So it's Rockettes are definitely another angle that you can go.
You just have bragging rights for the rest of your life. Like, I was a Rockette, whether it was for a year or for 10 years. I mean, I just think it's one of those fun, cool things.
And then moving from, East Coast and West Coast, Disneyland, right?
Yes.
Disney World. You could actually be a dancer at any of the parks, right?
A performer, they do the parades, they do the show. There's like shows every once in a while. They also, work all day. They're the performers that are standing there when the kids come up and say hi. So it's not you're just a dancer. You're a dancer, sure, but you're also a performer. And if you could sing, you get even bigger parts. I mean, it's just so fun, like you worked at Disney, and then you get to tell everyone that you worked at Disney.
And then you get to work on the Disney ships, which actually goes to the next part. I think you spoke about it before, how
Cruise ships.
CLI had, cruise ship opportunities where they came and they auditioned. Well, there are a lot of, you go to the regional competitions during the year at these conventions, but when you go to nationals, I know like Velocity, for example, they had Royal Caribbean there. So when you're a senior, graduating senior, which Joelle was last year, she got to go into a closed audition to audition for Royal Caribbean.
Which is a great opportunity.
It was unbelievable. She was there for a long time in that audition room, and she came out with the certificate, and she is now part of the Royal Caribbean database because I think it was she was one of 4 people who booked that job. So if Joelle had wanted, if she wasn't going to school, she could have gotten a contract and been on a ship and gone and traveled the world, and
Which again,
room and board
how
paid for.
fun is that?
When you're young and like you have such a passion and you're getting to live your passion and see the world and have all of these other opportunities come to you, it's pretty amazing to do that. And
you were telling me how well they're treated, like the dancers.
Yes.
You're treated like royalty, and you're on the ship, and you're traveling the world with your friends, dancing, having fun, stopping at ports. All these adventures. I mean, I think it's super cool.
I would have. I mean, if I had been a dancer, which clearly I wasn't, but if I had been a dancer and that was an opportunity, I would have been all over that right
Yeah.
away because they do become a family. And yes, they do get treated really well on these cruise ships. Sometimes, like depending what job you are on a cruise ship, you don't necessarily make a lot of money. You work your patootie off.
Yeah. You're
It's really
slaving away.
sad. You're like living on the ship for year contracts, 7-month contracts. But dancers, yes, they have contracts, but they are not, they have better rooms. They're allowed to eat in the main dining room. They make
They're the entertainment.
they're the entertainment and they get treated like
But
the
that's so
next level
cool.
up, which I think is really completely awesome. Another thing is backup dancers.
Oh, for like shows. Oh, you know what's a big one that we talked about? Taylor Swift.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I mean, she was just on tour, and her backup dancers, they became celebrities in their own right.
And I think that's the thing, like the backup dancers today, they're not really like it used to be, oh, you're a backup dancer.
Dancing in the dark somewhere behind a celebrity in the shadows.
Nobody knew who they were.
No, now they're stars.
Now it's like they have huge social media followings. Everybody knows
Yep.
who they are. Some of the celebrities are going after these names
Yep.
to have on their specific tour.
Because they're fantastic and they're in the spotlight, and in every show they're in front and everybody sees them, and it's not like one of those things that you're a no-name dancer. No, you have a name and you have, your social media and everybody knows who you are. These dancers have millions of followers.
Lady Gaga, she just had, I mean, we know somebody from Fierce who's actually on the Lady Gaga tour right now, and couldn't be happy at Bailey. I think she's on the Lady Gaga tour right
That's
now.
so cool.
Unbelievable. She was always this unbelievable contortionist, and she booked that tour and traveling the world. But like I said, they're not in the back anymore. Like you go to these concerts and these kids, or I don't know if I'm calling them kids, but
There's
these
adults there too.
These
Yeah.
adult dancers, they are in the front, on the side, hanging from the ceiling. They're all over the place.
No,
and
they're not hidden anymore.
No, they aren't. And the celebrities, depending who they are, they're treating them pretty well, which
Oh,
we will talk
They're
about.
very
but
respected.
very respected. It's definitely an incredible opportunity to get, but competitive, right? So you
Very
have to
competitive.
train, and this doesn't just happen. These opportunities aren't just handed to anybody. You're showing up at these auditions if you're lucky enough to even get that audition, and you are killing it. I remember Kendra from
Yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. She had booked the
With
Beyonce
Beyonce, right?
tour. Yeah,
Yeah.
we went to go see her at Beyonce. Unbelievable. She was like, she got us the family and friends ticket. So we paid like what a normal ticket should cost, which I don't think anybody even knows what a normal ticket should
I
cost.
have no idea.
It's so expensive. But the normal price we paid, we were like sitting in front of Beyonce, like the sweat of
That's
Beyonce. Like
amazing.
it was unbelievable. But Kendra was like side by side with Beyonce. But I remember her telling us about that audition, and it was like over 10 hours, and they kept calling back and doing cuts and talking
It's
about
super
sweat,
competitive.
because you have to keep up with a Beyonce tour. You have to have the stamina, and that's what they were
And the
really
skill.
trying. Yeah, and it was unbelievable. But when one door opens in this industry, multiple doors open. So when a choreographer hires you for these tours, then they get to know you, and you don't really, not that you don't have to audition again, but you're with that choreographer.
You're on a short list. But also a lot of times when they start working with these celebrities, a lot of these people, they stay with the celebrity and they eventually become dance captains, choreographers. I mean, there's so much room for growth.
Agreed. And then you have like another path, like we talk about, like little mini celebrities, like
Little paths.
another little path is, the NBA, right?
Yes.
Or the NFL.
Yes,
Being a
yes.
cheerleader. I mean, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, they have their own show making the team. I mean, come
everybody,
on.
they're America's sweetheart.
Totally. And then you have, Miami Dolphins and Laker girls.
There's Nuggets, like the Denver Nuggets. I mean,
Denver Nuggets,
I think
right.
every team has like either a dancer or a cheerleader squad, and some are more famous than others, but everyone
But if
has
we
one.
talk about the DCC, because this is something Joelle keeps talking about, like this is what she
Thunder.
eventually wants to go. She wants to go do. I have to deal with thunder every single night in my house of the thunder going on.
There's always thunder at the Betters.
She's memorizing those dances left and right, and it's something she definitely, right now she says that she wants to go and do.
She would be fantastic.
Thank you, but she, I get the question from my husband. So my husband is not off limits when it comes to this question. Okay, so she's going to go be a DCC. Then what?
Then what?
So the question doesn't
Yeah.
stop there,
No.
but there is a lot that happens. A lot of if you take a look at some of the older DCCs who are retired as a DCC, They are major influencers now on
Absolutely.
Amazon, making gazillions of dollars because of all of the money and all the followers that the recognition that they got from being a DCC. People follow them and they've established that. And now they're influencing and living their best life, making a fortune just showing products that they like.
And they also go into media. They go into media. A
Yes.
lot of them do shows.
One of the girls is a weather girl.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
KTLA or one of the one of the news stations, weather girls. But it opens up doors. It
So many
opens up other
opportunities.
opportunities, and it's like in life, it doesn't matter. Let's say you want to go be a doctor. Let's say you want to go be a lawyer. The way you get these jobs. I mean, I'm in software. The way you get these jobs is not what you know so much, it's who you know.
Yeah,
So the
absolutely.
more doors you're getting open for you, the more opportunities you have. So dance isn't really any different. And I think
No.
sometimes people confuse that junction, like they confuse that very important piece because all of these opportunities lead to another
It's
opportunity.
connections. You're making connections. And if you do your job well and if you have a good personality and if you're fun to work with, other things will get offered to you. Just like these DC cheerleaders, they become cheerleaders, and so many of them move up in these franchises. They become choreographers, they become managers, they work with the team, they do broadcasting. It's unlimited. The sky's the limit.
So you bring up choreographers. So now making the next switch into a choreographer, right? Because that's
Yeah.
obviously a very strong career path these days.
And so many kids who dance become choreographers.
And it's because they were mentored by choreographers that are in
Yeah.
the business. And the way you get those relationships is by obviously training and meeting these choreographers, whether you're going to conventions or you're going to Millennium or you're going where these choreographers are teaching classes, you're developing these specific relationships with people. And then, a lot of kids decide, I want to go and teach. I want to be a choreographer. I want to have my own class.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what are the different lanes that you can follow as a choreographer.
Well, I think a lot of kids start off by being mentored by someone. Like they click with a certain choreographer and they start, working with that choreographer. They assist their classes. When that choreographer has a job, you work with them. And I think that kind of, builds your reputation in the community. And eventually they go off on their own. And as a choreographer, again, the sky is the limit. You can choreograph for conventions. There's so many conventions now, more popping up every year. Go be a choreographer. If you get hired, a lot start off as like pro assistants, then move up to a choreographer, and then they're on tour every weekend. A lot choreographers, they work in different dance studios. They choreograph dances. They choreograph. I keep saying choreographer.
Choreographers.
And they do solos, they do duets, they do groups, and they get a lot of money for it. This
ton
is
of money.
not cheap.
Some of these solos that we get choreographed. I mean, I remember when we first started doing solos, maybe they were like 200, 300,
I think it was like $300.
which some people would think was expensive, but now they're like average
$1,500, $900,
900,
more.
800, 1,500. Some are up to $3,000.
I mean, which is insanity.
And group dances, I mean, they can
Thousands
go
and thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars at
Depending
these
on how famous the choreographer is.
Correct. And a lot of these choreographers, like what makes them famous is when they choreograph these pieces with kids that can really dance and perform. And then you go and do it and you're winning first place all over the place. Well, all of a sudden people want to pay for that first place
Absolutely.
choreography.
And then you have dances that go viral on social media, and that choreographer gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a fun thing to do. And like we talked about before, I know you can be a choreographer and you could have other jobs as well. So being a choreographer is just one path in dance. But as a choreographer, again, we talked about the conventions, we talked about studios, shows, movies, TV shows, Masked Dancer, Masked Singer.
Yeah.
And like they had all the choreographers working on there from Nuvo. And then they have movies. You can be what is it called on a movie set? It's
a movement, like
a director of movement.
A director of movement. And on these movie sets, a lot of times, like if you think about like Dirty Dancing,
Yeah.
like I'm really aging myself right now, but you think about like these
It's a
older
classic.
movies, Footloose, but like even more today, like there are so many different movies that have dance in it, and every actor doesn't mean that they have a dance background. So they have these movement directors where you get hired, and now all of a sudden you have to be SAG and be part of the union, and now you're making really good money. You're making residuals. You can be nominated for some major awards. There's the dance awards.
Yeah.
That every single year these choreographers get mentions. So your career, as they put it, is really taking off. You're making bank. You are now established.
And you're getting well known.
Very well
But
known.
it's not even movies that have dance. It's movies that just have movement. Like I know a choreographer that was, hired for Star Wars, and she was the director of movement because I don't know which characters exactly, but it was somebody who had to move like an alien, or someone had to move like they were, an anti-gravity. There's so many different paths for a choreographer nowadays that more than ever before.
Oh, even like the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
There's the
exactly.
movement of, I think, the owner's husband
Yeah.
of one of the dance studio that we were at.
He plays the ape, and he also teaches.
But he teaches how to move like an ape and making big dollars doing that as well. So that definitely is another angle. What would be another pathway, would you say, as a choreographer?
Well, I mean, movies, shows.
Or faculty on like
the conventions we talked about,
right?
Yeah,
the Radix, the Nouveau, like all
the
of
different
that,
conventions.
and then you get known, and then other studios bring you in, similar to what we were just talking about before. I think that there's a lot.
There's so many conventions,
and then some of those people end up opening up their own dance studio.
Absolutely,
right?
They get a good name, and people want to study with them. People want to learn from them. People want to do their choreo because their choreo is winning, because their choreo is well known, because they just want to be a part of that.
And then there are, if you're not opening up your own studio now more than ever because of online presence, there's virtual, right?
Zoom classes.
You could be a virtual choreographer.
Which we know people who do this.
Yes. I just had Gavin Morales' parents on another episode, and his sister, Mackenzie, who's like a technician, she's really incredible. She's built up the social media following, and we're going to have her on in a couple of weeks. But she is doing strictly online choreography, Zoom privates, where she's really working and fixing people's technique from all over the world. And she's making over 6 figures doing that right now.
And this started during COVID.
Yes.
Before COVID, this was virtually unknown. The only people who did Zoom privates were people who, if it was a really specific, skill or a very specific, thing, and somebody was teaching someone from, a different country. But COVID changed everything. COVID made it that nobody can go to dance studios, nobody can go to competitions, everything was closed down, and kids wanted to dance. So all these teachers were like, well, we need to make money too. So they started doing Zoom privates, and it's stuck. People still to this day are doing Zoom privates. There's so many kids who live in California, and they do Zoom privates with these teachers in Florida, or it's
laughing
everywhere.
Because we both know who, and we won't say, but there are some teachers at dance studios that will not let you train with anybody else but the faculty in their studio.
Absolutely.
So parents are like, they can't go outside of the studio because they'll get caught or somebody else see them. So these home privates to help advance their kid or get them advanced in their skill set, they're paying for these secret privates out of their home.
And they're not cheap.
It's like espionage,
No,
but we're hiding it.
These privates cost just as much as they do in studio.
Oh,
it's like $85 an hour. I know people who are $160 an hour on Zoom. It's kind of crazy, but at the same time, these kids are learning these skills. They're not leaving their houses. It's convenient imagine someone who works from home. There's a parent who works from home. They can't drive their kids around to dance all day, but these kids are doing 5-6 Zoom privates a day from home.
Right, and learning pirouettes, and all of a sudden they're showing up at the studio, and they're like, oh, look, you see, she's been putting in the work.
Yeah.
She's getting so much better. And they think it's because of them. But in fact, there's all these like secret.
They have 5 teachers on Zoom who they work with every other day, and they're getting fantastic, and it's easy.
Completely. So that's definitely another angle of how to make money. And then you have your K through 12 teachers, like teachers of dance, right? That whether they do after school programs, whether they're the school hired them to do movement, whether it's a gym teacher, where they incorporate dance in. And then the other side of teaching is the college professors, right? Because dance has grown. I know in SDSU, I was just talking to the professor there. He said that program this year, I think they just graduated 12 seniors, but the people that they're bringing in for the new school year that's about to start is double and a half from what it was last year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
More and more people now are starting to see all of these different avenues and pathways. I mean, if I can convince my husband that there's a line to be able to make money here and be able to support yourself, then, that's saying something, because it was a hard, to convince him on that. But I think more and more people are starting to see, hey, I can make money with this. I can do this.
Absolutely. And even going back to K through 12, like my daughter she goes to Performing Arts High School, And they have full-time faculty, staff, teachers who are dancers in every genre, from ballet to West African to hip hop. And they work at the school and they're employed by LAUSD, and it's a great life. I mean, they love what they do, and they also have other jobs. They have time to have other jobs because they're working from 1 to 4, 5 days a week, and they have the days are free, the weekends are free, summers are off, and they could do other stuff too. So it's a great teaching job.
It is a great teaching job. And then, adding on to that, you have like dance photographers, right?
Absolutely.
Social media, that has become such a big thing that a lot of the conventions now are hiring social media directors
To make content.
Make content. Being a photographer and going to a Millennium or any playgrounds or any of these places where people go and dance and take classes, when you're a choreographer and you're a big name choreographer, you want to teach your class and then have the people that you notice that perform your choreography the best. So how do they get that out there to have people want to take their class or hire them? It's by hiring a really good videographer. Remember Typo?
Many with dance backgrounds, because in order to film it well, you have to kind of understand it. It's very hard to film dance if you don't know anything about dance, just like photography. If you know about dance, at least have a dance background, you know what technique is right, what pose looks good, what you shouldn't do. Are they doing it wrong? Without that knowledge, I think it's way harder.
I agree. I brought up Typo before, but Typo was a guy in our dance studio, and he
was a hip hop dancer.
He was a hip hop dancer,
Yeah.
completely understood dance, and he picked up a camera. It was another one of his artistic passions
Absolutely.
that he had. And he picked up this camera and he went into Millennium, and a couple of the choreographers said, "Hey, come in and film for me." And before you knew it, this guy was making brand new
Absolutely.
Mustang. I think it was a Mustang, was parked in front of Millennium. Like, everybody was coming out to see the car, and he was able to afford all of that and then some because of the incredible amounts of money. He was putting out such great content to social media.
He was doing a great job.
Everybody was like, he became, I forgot who, I think at one point maybe Brian Friedman, but he became a lot of these choreographers like main photographer person, and every great choreographer was looking to hire them on. They weren't hiring them on; they had to keep them on the books. That's how competitive it was getting. Even if they weren't going to be teaching that week, they were still paying that videographer to make sure that that videographer was available for them whenever they needed it. So,
and they also got paid not just for the video part, for the editing, for making the content, making the clips. I mean, he got paid really, really well, and all of them do, because first of all, it's a lot of work. It's a skill, and you have to be good at it. Otherwise, the content isn't going to look great. So, I mean, it's definitely an opportunity for someone. And again, it's not a full-time job. You can do this on the side when you're doing something else.
So the question becomes, and this is the elephant in the room that, everybody says, can you really make money at this? And I know we've just talked about a lot of different.
That's my answer.
Well, I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to caveat that, and I'm going to put a pin in it, because I'm going to say yes and no, because you have to be hungry and be able to hustle.
You have to hustle.
Because this is a hustle, hands down.
Yeah.
And depending which lane you go into, that's going to basically decide how much money you're specifically going to make. So,
and how hard you work.
Right. Because I'm not going to say everybody is going to make money at this. One, you got to be good, right? But
you have to be
just
good.
Because
you have to be talented.
But just because you're good doesn't mean that you're going to make money, because you see all the people that go and audition for a Beyonce tour or Taylor Swift tour, or
thousands.
Gazillions of people.
And 10 get picked.
And it doesn't mean that the other, 999 people who were there weren't talented that got picked. So it's a hustle, and it's opening up those doors, and who and what you doesn't become as much as important. It's really the who. Who do you know to help you? And even sometimes when you do know the who, it doesn't always help you. So it is a hustle, but can you make money? Yes. And it's no different. Like I said, I'm in software. I am very good at what I do. When I'm out of work and I'm not working, getting that interview is a thing these days with AI. I mean, it's very hard to, and I know a lot of people in my industry. I've been doing it a really long time. It's not so easy
hard.
just to say you're going to get a job. So I don't want people to think just because you dance, like, oh, they're not going to make money. No, you can make money. It's just the same kind of hustle in a different way than somebody else.
But wouldn't it be the same for everything? I mean, look at all the athletes. There's a million baseball players, but only so many get to be on a team. There are so many great singers, but only so many become famous. Same with artists. I mean, I think in anything, like, you have to be good at what you're doing, and you have to work really, really hard. And if you do that, then you have a great chance of being successful.
And I remember a conversation you and I had about dance moms. Like, wasn't dance moms like the first? Like that was the
That
first.
turned the tide, I think, for
Yeah.
dancers. I think before dance moms, dancers were kind of, it wasn't looked down upon, but it was kind of like everything else. It was just like, you're an artist and you're going to work your butt off, or you're going to be, like a ballet dancer and, dance for 20 years and then you don't have anything else, because your body breaks down after a while, especially something as hard as ballet. But I think when dance moms came on and it was such a hit and it was so popular and so many people fell in love with it, that I think the world started noticing that, wow, dancers can actually, be a great career too. And I think it really turned the tide for dancers.
Yeah,
And then it had World of Dance and then all these shows.
Right.
It was
So
like
World-
back to back.
you had J-Lo endorsing, right? Because J-Lo obviously is a performer, but she's also a crazy dancer.
She started as a fly girl on
Yes.
in Living Color. I just aged myself.
Living Color. Oh my God. Yes.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
but that she started as a dancer. I mean, that was her first step in her career. And I think a lot of, Charlize Theron, she was a dancer. So many of these great.
Which Charlize Theron opened up a dance studio.
She did.
She just opened up. What's the name of her dance studio? I'm going
I
blank
think
on it right
six something.
now. The
Right?
compounds.
Something,
Six
yeah.
compounds. Yeah. So Charlize Theron, she just opened up a dance studio, and that was because. So there's a story. Charlize Theron. Obviously, she's artistic, right?
She
She's
is.
in the movie. She
was
phenomenal.
a ballet dancer.
Ballet dancer.
Beautiful ballet
She was
dancer.
in our dance studio. And we won't go into all of the politics and drama that happened there, but she ends up leaving and she's like, okay, that's it. I'm going to go open up my own studio. And she did. She opened up a beautiful studio, 6 compounds
Studio City.
in Studio City. Yes. And, she went and she, like, everybody has a vision, right? Of what it's going to look like. But being an artist, there isn't necessarily this path. Like I always call it the cookie cutter, right? Like years ago, it used to be like when our parents were younger, it's like, okay, you graduate high school, you get married, you're a homemaker.
There's only one way to do it.
College, right? And then as things evolve, then all of a sudden everybody's going to college. But then it becomes, okay, it's not just a cookie cutter life. Like go to college, get your degree, go out in the workforce, that's
Hustle, and then retire, and that's it.
and that's it. Like now, there's
over.
so many different opportunities, and if you are artistic, like a Charlize Theron or J-Lo, you really do have that incredible opportunity to take whether it's we call triple threats,
Yeah.
singing, dancing, acting, and combining that into one. It's the secret sauce, right? And it's
I mean, yeah, if you're a triple threat, you can pretty much do anything. Like we talked about Broadway shows. I mean, there's so much to do.
yeah, and I look at we mentioned before about these backup dancers becoming something. It's just another vehicle to open up another door. I do know, like even at Velocity, like we talked about getting an opportunity to work on a circuit. I know I was talking to Eve, the owner of Velocity, and we were talking, and she said, we won't even let any choreographer on our faculty unless they have a BFA, which I respect a lot because it's what they're saying is you have people, when you go and get your BFA, they're teaching you about all of the muscles. They're teaching you about all the anatomy of dance, not to overstretch. They're teaching you about, feeling, movement, all of those things versus just saying, okay, I love to dance, and not saying you can't be an incredible choreographer without going to school. But I will say having a BFA opens up additional doors for you that you wouldn't necessarily have had before.
And just to say, there's other conventions that are completely not like that. There's so many conventions that you start going as a kid and they love you and they ask you to be an assistant, and then you become a pro assistant, and then you can become a faculty member, a choreographer who's teaching their own class. There's so many ways to grow in this industry. Even in conventions, no convention is the same. Some you need a BFA, some you grow up in the convention, they love you, they want you to be a part of it, and you become part of this convention. I mean, there's so many ways to grow.
So now let's talk about the money, because I have notes and I want to read these notes here. So
Dun dun dun
dun dun dun, dun like the ka-ching moment, right?
Yeah.
Like what does this money look like? Because obviously, money means different things to different people, right?
Absolutely.
Like $1 billion is pretty freaking cool. Are you making that? Maybe eventually you can. I don't know, but not in these kind of numbers.
But before we start this, just as to say, this can be compounded. Like just because you make this in one thing doesn't mean that's all you're making. A lot of these people in dance, they're working 3, 4, 5 different jobs because every job doesn't require your full time. So take these numbers, but no, that's not alone. That's like you could be doing this and that and that, and then you're making a really good income.
Really good income. So what does it look like? So Broadway dancers, they can earn between $2,500 and $3,500 a week. They're under union contracts. They get health insurance. So that's a decent living. You know, let's say you're making $3,500 a week. That's $14,000 a month. I'm sorry. There are a lot of people that are not making $14,000 a month. And these people, some of these shows are running, you know, year after year. Then they go out on tour, some of those shows. So there's lots of different branches within an opportunity.
And they have benefits.
Yeah, they're getting benefits
And,
working
you know,
on
they
Broadway.
have disability, and they have, you know, if they get injured, I mean, they're not just dancing and something happens, they lose their job. They're protected.
They get sick days.
Yep.
I mean, this is a regular job. So I don't want anybody to think that it isn't, right? And then another one is the Rockettes, right? The Rockettes during season, they're making about $1,500 a week, each one of those Rockettes. That's also great money, not to mention the experience that they're getting. And then the Rockettes have certain guest appearances that they could do where they get additional money for each one of those
Absolutely.
opportunities as well. And then dancers on tour like Beyoncé, they're making anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a week, and some of them are
A
making
week,
more.
not a month.
They're a week. Plus, they're getting paid all of their travel. Plus,
Their
they're getting paid
dailies,
all of their food,
everything.
like the food and like all of that's getting paid for them as well. And then you take a look at like Taylor Swift.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh, their bonuses. Their bonuses were more than some people's salaries.
she was buying some of them cars. You were
Absolutely.
reading about them getting cars. You were reading about these crazy $100,000 bonuses, $300,000 bonuses, because the more she was making, the more she was being, you know, caring and sharing the love with everybody else.
The
Tax
tour
write
was
off or
doing
not.
so well. I mean, it was amazing, and everybody got a little piece of the pie.
Yeah, I felt terrible actually because we talk about
Oh my
injury,
gosh,
right?
yes, I know
So
this
on
story.
Velocity, there was a choreographer, and she made it onto Taylor
Which
Swift's
is already
tour.
insane. Like to
Insane.
make
She
it.
beat out all these people. She's incredible, Whitney on Velocity, and she ended up I don't know if it was her ACL. She tore something.
She had an injury,
a major injury during rehearsals, and she had to bow out of the tour.
which is
couldn't.
horrible. That's so
She had
devastating.
major recovery to do. She's fine now, thank God, because she's one of the best. And she couldn't go on that tour, but they paid all of her medical bills. They were still paying her money. I don't know all the logistics of it, but the point is, it's not just like one and done.
Yeah.
Like is opportunity within an opportunity, and depending what tour you book, you are making really great money. And then, like I said before, those contacts that you're making, and they see how great you worked on the tour, the next time a tour comes up, you're thought of
Yeah.
for maybe being one of those
You could be
dancers,
a
the
repeat.
short
You
list.
could be a repeat dancer on tours, and there's people who have dance captains who have been on tour with them for 10 years. I mean, you could, as if you're great, and if they love you, and if you're responsible, and if you're just a good person and a good worker, you can be there forever.
Right. And then also like faculty, for example, on these conventions, they're making anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,500
Some more,
per weekend,
some more.
plus travel.
Yep.
And then you add in what we were talking about before, all of those studios. If you're setting a piece for somebody, $3,000 ka-ching. If you are doing a solo for somebody, let's even say $1,000, ka-ching. You're doing privates for people, that could be $100, $125, you know, per hour, ka-ching. So, you know,
It compounds really quickly.
I mean, you're making bank. You know, we talked before about doing the online sessions. So
Absolutely.
let's talk about Brian Friedman for a second.
Oh my gosh.
During COVID.
I think this was the first time that I
This was,
realized.
like, insane,
This
okay?
blew all our minds. During COVID, he put out that he was going to do a master class on Zoom, and I think it was like $35. I'm not sure. And he was going to teach Britney Spears, because he danced with her, and you know they have a really good
Best
relationship.
choreo ever. Look up
Yes.
Brian Friedman, Britney choreo.
I mean, no, it's
Unbelievable.
amazing. And I think he had, I mean, don't quote me, but I think it was like 10,000 people like signed up. So imagine it's a 2-hour class, $35, 10,000 people. I mean,
Even if we say $30 for clear math, we're talking
It's-
$300,000 for 90 minutes during COVID. All of these kids, that's how much he made in
Yeah.
90 minutes, $300,000. So the next time somebody says to you,
dancers don't make money. Yeah, no, and talking about the convention faculty staff again. So they're doing on the weekends, they're making their money for that. And then during the week, they're traveling to different studios, they're setting dances, they're doing that. Every dance, every piece, that's more money. Every class, that's more money. So it's not just you're making the 2,500 that weekend, you're making another five during the week. It's really not bad.
It's amazing money.
And all travel's paid.
And you see, specifically for dancers that are in it today, there are choreographers who are really well known. And then there's a lot of these up and coming ones. I mean,
Yep.
these kids right now that are so young, I can't even imagine what they're going to be when they're 18, 19 years
No.
old, because the kids, like when our kids were coming up when they were 5 and 6, we thought they were good. In comparison to
No,
the kids today, they were terrible. Like these new kids that are coming up.
These minis are insane. I remember we were at a convention and Anya was standing by the wall of the mini room and just watching them. And she was like, I'm just glad I don't have to compete against them. Because
Scary.
these 6, 7, 8-year-olds are doing what 18-year-olds were doing 10 years ago. I mean, it's just.
Right. And it's only going to get better and better, which means the opportunities are going to get bigger and better. I mean, like I said, the opportunities from when our kids were younger till now, the world is really their oyster of what they could specifically make. You take a look also, like social media adds another layer, right?
Absolutely.
Like these influencers, they could retire at like 25. I mean, there are some people making $100,000
millions of
a
followers.
month
Yeah,
that
no,
they're
it's-
making.
It's insane.
Endorsement deals, like, companies are getting really smart with these dancers who, are very big following. So some of these dancers have, 1.5 million followers. And they've been from putting up reel after reel after reel and getting all of these followers. Well, the companies are getting very smart. Are they going to spend millions of dollars going and advertising on television for a commercial? Or are they going to say, hey, Anya, I'm going to pay you $30,000. Wear my Nikes.
Done.
And I want you just to do say, hey, wearing my Nikes while I do hip hop today.
And that's exactly what's happening.
And you're tagging it, and these people are getting 30,000, 50,000, depending on what they are.
100,000. I mean,
And then there are all of these social media companies now where you're getting representation to be this influencer. So the industry has completely blown up. So in addition to being a dancer, you're getting paid to wear aloe leg wear, or you're getting
Absolutely.
paid to wear, the Lululemons, and tagging
Anything.
these people. I mean, that's all part
it's
of dance.
makeup, it's face care, it's anything. And they see that these dancers, they're influencers and they're making a ton of these reels, have a ton of views. Why not? I mean, they're just as good as any other influencer, if not funner to watch.
So at the end of it, why would you say that people look down at this? I mean, I know that there's lots of different, like, why would you say that people are looking down at being a dancer, like whether you're a dancer, a BFA major, like my close friends, I have a friend who sends her child to a very ritzy school, and she's like, well, is she just majoring as a dancer? Well, the truth is, Joelle's now picking up communications because we know that she has the gift to gab, and she took a communications class and she loves it. So now she's picking it up as a minor, which she's adding on to. But at the end of it, no, I'm not embarrassed that she's a BFA major. I love the fact that she is. But why do you think people frown on it so much?
I mean, honestly, my take is I think as a society, we look down on artists. I mean, that's just kind of been ingrained on us. They're like, think of the dad whose kid picks up a guitar at 10 and he's like, what are you going to be, a guitar player? What are you going to be in a band? No, it's looked down as like, these careers they're not good. They're not as good enough as being an academic, as being, a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist. It's just the way we've been taught. And I think it's really wrong. And I think we as a society, we need to change and understand that artists make life better. They make everything better. I mean, without dancers, singers, what are there, like artists, like painters, like anything that has to do with the arts, I think it makes life more beautiful. It makes every day more beautiful. Even a commercial without music, it's like, why would you watch it,
Why
right?
would you watch it? Why, it's not even interesting, right?
I
Or
mean-
a performer. I mean, you're supposed to feel something. Songs make you feel something.
Musicians, yeah.
Dance makes you feel something. I do think it's a lack of understanding,
I
because
do
knowledge
too.
is power, and that's why I really wanted to do this episode, because I am really tired of listening to
No, it's horrible.
people say it. But I do think that people aren't aware of all of the opportunities that we've been speaking about. And also, I remember when I used to lead sales organizations, when I would hire people, I would always look for competitors, whether they were in competitive sports, football, baseball, whatever, like a competitive sport person, because studies have proven that people who are in competitive sports, they have an incredible amount of discipline. You have to have an incredible
They have that
discipline.
fire. They want to fight for it.
To be an athlete, you need discipline, the training, being able to do your homework, like being able to manage all of it. That discipline doesn't just happen. And I always wanted to hire people that had that background. I would always ask that in an interview because that raised like, okay, I want to hire this person because I know that they're going to have that same discipline in business. So when you look at dancers, they have tremendous discipline, right?
And also that competitive edge, right?
Correct.
It's like knowing how to compete in a healthy way, right? You've been competing your whole life as a dancer, as an athlete, and you know how to compete. You
time management,
exactly,
collaboration,
yes,
leadership, teamwork. I mean, these are all skills that are transferable skills. Oh,
I mean, that's a huge one, right? I think if kids aren't coachable, they can't learn, they can't grow. And I think the same good thing goes for employees.
And being creativity, being able to publicly speak, right?
Yep.
Being able to to be able to advocate for yourself as a dancer.
To have confidence.
Right. And so like there are so many of these transferable skills that I don't think people realize that whether you're a dancer or you're a competitor or whether you are any type of athlete, because when you're a dancer, you are an athlete.
You are. 100%.
These are skills that are transferable to any career.
Anything.
And the truth is, a lot of the kids that are coming out with their law degree, or they're going to go into business and they're going to trade securities, doesn't necessarily mean they have all of these skills that these kids have been training for since they're 2 years old, so their whole lives. So they're actually more powerful, in my opinion, coming out of school sometimes with these skills than some of the kids that are coming out with what everybody thinks is the cookie cutter degree or the cookie cutter path. And I think that is really important to recognize as well.
I totally agree. I think athletes and dancers and anyone who has worked on a skill for so many years, their whole childhood, their whole teen years, and going into being a young adult, I think that just gives you a special edge. And I think you could apply that edge to anything.
And, some of the dancers, when they decide that they don't want to dance anymore, not many of them do. Some of them, I'm going to have a professor on the show, and he's in his 60s, and he's still dancing. He can do yoga moves that none of the kids can do. And I give him lots of props for that. And I'm so excited to tell his story. But some of the dancers, they're going into they're becoming physical therapists.
Absolutely.
Right?
Doctors, because they know their body so well. They understand how the body works. And some of them want to find out more, like a lot go into medicine and a lot go into, like you said, physical therapy.
Well, when Joelle had her hip flexor issue, I remember a mom coming up to me, because knowledge is power, and she said, you need to go to this person. And I said, why? She said, she's very expensive. She doesn't take insurance. I'm like, oh, great. Like, great. But worth every dollar under the sun, because she understood a dancer's body. She was a dancer. She knew exactly how she injured herself. She knew exactly what stretches to give her. She knew exactly how to get her better. Where it's sort of like if you're a vegetarian and you don't eat meat, you may know how to cook a steak because you follow a recipe, but do you really know how to cook steak?
Do you know how it's really going to taste?
Because if you don't eat it, then how do you know how a good steak is supposed to really taste, right? So I think that that's a difference. And the same thing, like that is another avenue to explore if you are a dancer. And that lady was making bank because she didn't take insurance and we were paying her cash.
And also that even applies to like Pilates. Like there's Pilates teachers that work specifically with dancers because they're ex-dancers and they know the kind of moves that a dancer needs. And these Pilates teachers, they charge more than usual regular Pilates teachers because it's a niche. It's something that they do specifically. Like we went to a Pilates teacher that was $135 an hour just because she was an ex-ballet dancer and she knew exactly the kind of exercises, the kind of skills, the kind of whatever they need to do for a dancer to get stronger, to be able to do a bas mat, to be able to do a plie better, to be able to do port-de-bras. It's just knowledge, like you said.
Which Pilates, we didn't even talk about that, but that is another angle because
absolutely.
I know
Pilates teachers.
Even in Joelle's BFA program, she has right now the opportunity where she can go get licensed and become a Pilates teacher if she wanted to. She doesn't want to, but the point is she could.
And she can one day. If say she wants a little side job. There's another thing that we didn't talk about is so many of these studios are popping up. Pure Barre, Wonder Barre, yoga, core power yoga. And a lot of these teachers are dancers or used to be dancers because they know their bodies so well. They know how it works. And that's another little job for them. I mean, it doesn't have to be little. You can buy your own Pure Barre and have a great studio that's packed 24/7.
Franchises, you could open up 4 or 5 of them. And it's because you have that background in it, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and yeah, I think that it's endless, right? It really is endless of all of these
I think
different
it's unlimited.
opportunities. So, how do we change the narrative? How do we flip the script of getting people to stop asking this question and start applauding the arts, the dedication, the commitment, all of the things that all of these dancers, male, female, that are putting into this to say, hey, that's a great career instead of the eye roll? Because I'm so sick of the eye roll.
I just think with time, again, as a society, we have to learn how important the arts are, how valuable these artists are, and start treating them as such. With That's like giving them respect, paying them what they're worth. Because even like how they used to get paid, it was horrible. It was a disgrace. It was pennies, and now they're finally starting to get money that they deserve. And I think that's already a huge progress.
Yeah, I mean, the thing we also didn't talk about was commercials, right? So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Joelle has booked probably. I think she's been now. She did a Fidelity commercial where she was a ballet dancer. She just did a Super Bowl commercial where she was a
A cheerleader.
cheerleader, right? She
Yeah.
was a cheerleader on the field over at USC, and it was all about um, creating awareness
And she
around
made
breast
good money.
cancer. Good money, ridiculous money. Like it's she's part of the union. But my point is, she's done now where she was able to utilize her dance because obviously people know that she's also an actress, and she was able to utilize her dance skills and book jobs for in acting, but as a dancer. So I do think that those skills transfer. I mean, Joelle has a really good friend, Giovanni. I think you know him
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He plays violin.
he plays violin, and Anya and Joelle also danced in
A
one of
music
his
video.
that he
Yeah.
did, right? So there's music videos you could also audition for and be in. And he's actually, I think, on General Hospital today. And he has been able to take his art of violin playing and he plays violin on General Hospital.
Absolutely.
So, this is where having these skills really transfer into multiple different lanes. And anybody that thinks that this is very myopic or very small, I'm truly hoping that this changes that whole concept because, he's making great money working on
Of
General
course.
Hospital. He plays violin for the Lakers at halftime. I mean, he's all over the place with his violin. And you could go dance at halftime. You could be a cheerleader. You can be on Broadway. You can be a rockette. I mean, there are so many
The
things we just
arts are a
spoke
viable
about.
career.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Anya did a HEB commercial when she was like 8. And again, she got hired as a dancer. And like, if you really look at all these TV shows that are coming up, what is Marguerite Derrick? She just put out an amazing show all about dance. I mean, hired so many dancers, Christian Burrs, and so many
Yes.
amazing dancers. But I think it's really becoming more, out there, and it's becoming more accepted, and it's becoming more of a, not just as a backup, as a main theme, dance. And dancers get hired for these roles, whether it's a commercial, whether it's a show, whether it's whatever it is, but it's dancers.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, I think if the thought I really want to leave everybody with is if anybody comes up to you and says, like, so what's next? It's like dance is what you create. Don't let
Absolutely.
anybody dull your sparkle. I say that constantly. Like, don't let anybody dim that shimmer because just wait because they're going to see you. It's like, don't you will take the stage and then they'll be the ones who saying, "Wow, I guess she really did it," or "I guess he really did
Absolutely.
it." And we see a lot of these kids that we came up with, in the industry and they're killing it today and they're making a ton of money. So I'm hoping that, for everybody that's watched this episode, I'm hoping that we were able to, show you something that you might not have known or giving you a different way to think about dance or think about a BFA or again, you don't even have to go through a BFA or a BA, a conservatory or, what you could actually do with this is like endless opportunities that you could go and make money and live your dream. It's no longer that you have to go and follow this cookie cutter lifestyle. And for those of you that are asking the questions, I hope that this answered it because knowledge is power. And, it means something when people say, wow, you've done really good. And it doesn't matter what that job is. You could be cleaning toilets or you could be dancing on the big stage. But anyway, I do want to thank you, Vicky, so much for exploring this topic with me because I know you and I have both heard this for so long. And I do think it's such a critical thing. And I want to stop hearing it. And I want to start people to applaud it and appreciate it and know how much that they put in and all of the rewards that you get on the end. So Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please share the love, tag that dancer, make sure to subscribe, and
Let's change the narrative around the arts, around dance, because these people are amazing and they deserve all the respect and all the money in the world because it's just as good of a job as any other.
Exactly. So until next time, thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Don't let anybody treat you like regular glue because you're glitter glue. You sparkle, you shine. Get it, girl, get it, friend.